Spring carries the pleasure of immediate engagement with new changes, be it in the passing wind, in the green foliage of trees, orchids, or the mating songs of the cuckoo, and amorous flirts of animals, young people. There is something undeniably beautiful and innocent in the arrival of spring. It urges a compulsion to celebrate. In Assam, the celebration is Rongali Bihu.
Gate koi lubine khosai oya no la pemu login porong to nyenengo oya no la pemu konoru bonti biga senku nyenengo.
Celebration centers around dance and music, with making of sweetmeat, weaving gamusas, and preparing rice beer. The Singpho people of eastern Assam cohabit with the forest, and their lifestyle is very close to nature. Singpho girls pluck the season's fresh tea leaves to make their tea, the phalap. In a nearby modern tea garden, plucking starts with the first flush in gay abandon.
The tea-drinking habit of the Singphos was first discovered by Colonel Latter in 1815, but the East India Company was totally oblivious to that fact. Robert Bruce, an adventurous fortune hunter, made a trip to the Ahom kingdom Rangpur, and that is where he met the nobleman and the legal advisor to the king, Moniram Dewan, in 1823. Moniram Dewan arranged a meeting with the Singpho chief Bisagam to collect some tea seeds. However, Robert Bruce died shortly, and his younger brother, Charles Alexander Bruce, carried on the legacy of collecting tea tracts from the eastern part of Assam. He met Moniram Dewan and Bisagam, and there begins the history. Charles Alexander Bruce can be called the father of the Indian tea industry. He was responsible for establishing the indigenous variety of Camellia assamica, and he single-handedly nurtured the tea cultivation into a viable business venture. Moniram Dewan was the sole entrepreneur to first open out to private tea gardens, Sinamora and Singlo, in 1845. However, he was implicated in a conspiracy to oust the British from Assam and restore the Ahom king to the throne. He was arrested in Calcutta and hanged in Jorhat on 26th of February 1858, and his property was confiscated and auctioned. George Williamson purchased his property at a throwaway price.
Singpho people take their phalap as a traditional health drink without sugar and milk. They make and serve it in the ritualistic way. The preparation process is quite unique: withering, roasting, drying, and smoking in bamboo pipes, giving its distinctive flavor.
fresh tea leaves contain 70 to 80% water. During the flatbed withering process, 32 degrees Celsius warm air is blown, reducing the water content by 60-65%, making the leaves more elastic and suitable for rolling. This is the process in which the cell extract of the withered tea leaf is spread over the rolled leaf surface of fresh tea leaves, which is cut, ground and rolled in various tea manufacturing machinery, and the oxidation process begins. Leaf cells are broken in rolling and the cell water liquid arises to the leaf's surface. The polyphenols and the enzymes of the cell water reacts against the oxygen and causes fermentation. As a result of this process, the aphelivins and the orobigins arise and gives quality to the tea as color, brightness, aroma.
Assam tea, even today, in spite of all the competitions, is the best in the world also. Earlier, of course, Assam tea was dominating, even in the field of export also. Today, various countries, they are also producing the tea, but the quality-wise Assam tea is still the best in the world. It has its own name, it has its own flavor, it has its own quality also. The soil condition of Assam is definitely much better, suited for producing the best quality of tea.
It is the process by which the humidity level of tea leaves rolled and fermented in the drying furnace is reduced to 3 to 4% by stopping the oxidation, so that the tea is rendered storable and packageable.
Bruce first dispatched 8 chests of tea to London in 1838. Prior to that, the famous and most widely consumed black tea was unknown to the world.
A new trend which has come up in the eastern parts of Assam is growing tea bushes in the backyards of homes. This viable proposition will revolutionize the rural economy.
Small growers only sell their leaves. They do not have their own factory, unlike the estates. So they basically sell their leaves to the bottle factories or even the garden factories. And also to ensure that the small tea growers get their due price, we now are providing under this scheme assistance for purchasing, say, transport vehicles. 50% of that we subsidize of the basic cost, and all the accessories we subsidize to the 100%.
Now small tea growers is a significant force for tea production. If they use pesticides indiscriminately, then this pesticide residue problem may come. So for that purpose, our small tea growers sell. They usually visit their gardens, they train them on the spot, and they monitor how pesticides are being applied there. Even for cultivation also, they are well trained now.
What will you do?
I suppose I'll go back to the hospital.
It's fine, think of you there. I used to pass it on my way to school.
You ever come to Moscow?
From Grada.
If only there was someone to look after you. Of course, if there were, I'd be destroyed by jealousy.
Oh, good Dad. Here. Oh, please.
Like Julie Christie, many other planters' children were born in the tea gardens of Assam.
I was born in the Johot Mission Hospital in 1957. My father was an assistant in a garden in that area. Wonderful memories. I think tea gave us an enchanted childhood. A lot of freedom, lot of affection from the staff who worked in bungalows.
The pioneer tea planters were immensely determined as they were to succeed in the terrifying task of hacking out tea plantations in thick, inaccessible jungles with inadequate labor force.
But I can't imagine how virgin jungle was cut down and made into plantations. I think it's something, it's just almost impossible to comprehend how it was done at all.
As the population of Assam was very low, the pioneers had to import laborers from central India, however, in a very crude manner. Laborers were lured by the agents and transported in small boats and later in steamers, with almost 30% casualties with tropical diseases and weather extremes.
The assimilation evolved into a major substream that helps to flow the mainstream Assami society. At present, the plantation workers comprise of 20% of the total population of Assam, and they are serving 835 existing tea gardens. The Plantation Labour Act 1951 enforces the planters to look after the welfare, basic education and health care of the plantation workers. By the 1880s, much of the early difficulties and discomfort faced by the pioneers had been eliminated. The Chung bungalows came into existence, which were spacious and elegantly furnished. the lifestyle of a tea planter was enviable to many. Their comfortable and relaxed way of life with fishing, hunting, golf and horse riding had led to the belief that the profession of a planter was laid back.